going to have to deal with me. I ask you a simple, maybe rhetorical question, Skip. What player has done that to Steph Curry this entire year? It has not happened. This is what is going on here. I would love to believe that Golden State will come back. First of all, I genuinely like them all as players. I think they're fantastic, and I think they're great. And regardless of how I'm getting on Steve Kerr, he has proven that he can coach. He's a 5-time champion as a player, okay? And he deserves our respect. I just didn't think he deserved Coach of the Year because he only coached 39 games. Not because the man can't coach. It was because he only coached 39 games. That's the only reason I was opposed to him winning Coach of the Year. He has proven his worthiness. But, Skip, I don't see a coach with answers. Somebody suggested to me start Sean Livingston, bench Andrew Bogut. I'm not sure if anything would work at this point. But the irony in all of this, Skip, as much as I want to believe that Golden State will come back and have a Game 7, because I would be there and I would love it, and as much as I would prefer to be in San Francisco, meaning Oakland, rather than OKC, the bottom line is this. I can't see two sharks in Durant and Russell Westbrook in blood-infested waters that is the Golden State Warriors. And I don't see them I can't see how they'll pass on chomping them to bits. I just can't see it. And then when I think about Steve Kerr, Skip, here's what you want. You want me to tell you something, Skip, that you may not have even thought about? If you recall, Steve Kerr in 2007 became the president and general manager of basketball operations for the Phoenix Suns. Who was this coach, Skip? It was Mike D'Antoni, who you call Mike Antoni. You said take the D out, right? Skip, why did D'Antoni end up leaving Phoenix? He ended up leaving Phoenix because Steve Kerr and Sarver wanted the man to hire essentially what amounted to a defensive coordinator to figure out a way to stop people because D'Antoni just wanted to score. And D'Antoni didn't want to hire Tom Thibodeau. So ultimately, he had to end up leaving, and he ultimately went and took the Knicks job. Well, what happened, Skip, as you watched Golden State last night give up 42 points in the second quarter, when you watched them struggle to give up 100-plus points to OKC, with OKC scoring at will? Doesn't it strike you as a tad bit odd that the Golden State Warriors actually look a little bit like the Phoenix Suns? That's what struck me, because I'm watching and I'm saying, this is the same Steve Kerr that didn't want the Phoenix Suns under D'Antoni looking the way his now Golden State Warriors are looking against OKC. Now, I only bring that up because last year it didn't apply because Golden State was big time defensively. This year they've dropped off significantly. And nobody's brought it up. But I'm bringing it up now because that's what I'm seeing. If they could get stops and stop people, maybe I'd have some faith in them. Right now, I'm at a loss. Draymond Green looks horrible. I'm glad he didn't get suspended, even though some people are going to look at that video with him tripping Enes Kanter last night and say, once again, he should get a flagrant 1 or something like that. But he looks awful. Steph Curry doesn't look like himself. Klay Thompson seems all by his lonesome. And Andrew Bogut is supposed to be relevant in a series like this. And he's turned into bogus status yet again. It's bad. It's bad. I hope I'm wrong. But I actually think that Golden State might get closed out on their home court tomorrow night. That's how bad I think it is right now.
Are you ready to go there?
I want to think about it for another day until tomorrow morning. Because I want to show Golden State the respect they've earned and that they deserve. And by the way, I'm a fan of Joe Lacob. You know that, Skip. I like Joe a lot. But wasn't he on the record essentially paraphrasing it, calling them the gold standard? We're ahead of the... It looks bad from the top on down. I'm looking at Joe...
I'm glad you brought that up. Just quickly, and I did communicate with Mr. Lacob about this, and he said it was a little taken out of context, which well might be. This was in the New York Times.
Yeah.
But the quote was that, I'm slightly paraphrasing, but that we are probably light years ahead of every other franchise in the way we do things. And doesn't look that way at this moment. It doesn't look like they're light years ahead of that franchise, just for the record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're losing games, Skip. It's how they're losing. You can point to the struggles of Steph Curry. I mean, they're getting waxed, man. They're getting beat down.
Okay.
Got me looking at Joe Lacob. Got me looking for Jerry West. Where the hell is he at, Mr. Consultant? I'm looking at Steve. I'm looking at everybody right now. Because I'm like, how did this happen? How did this happen?
Okay, so you are saying they are D-O-N-E done. You actually said yesterday if Golden State loses tonight, which is last night, done, right? So you're sticking by that.
I believe they're done. I'm just debating whether it's tomorrow night or the weekend.
Okay. My answer to Molly's question, which you asked about 20 minutes ago, as I recall.
Don't be rude.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Go ahead.
But you even went after Steve Kerr again. We are bashing Steve Kerr today.
How we bashing him?
Okay.
We're talking facts.
All right.
That's all I'm doing.
Here's just me. There is no way I'm going to leap all the way to done when we're talking about the defending champs who won an NBA record 73 games, and they have 2 of the last 3 at home. In no way am I predicting they are now going to win in 7 games, because I am not. I'm just telling you I'm not going to write them off, because I do believe Golden State, on pride, guts, energy, whatever, they will win Game 5 at home. I just think that they've come too far. They've done too much. They have greatness about them. They have proven greatness, and I think they're going to win Game 5. And Stephen A., again, my most glaring stat so far in these 4 games is that, look, just boil this down for me. Oklahoma City has shot 29 more free throws in 4 games than Golden State and made 32 more free throws. Think about that. That's 8 more free throws a game. Well, that alone will get you beat, and they're getting annihilated. But my point is that why do the refs favor one team? Well, again, Oklahoma City's gotten its breaks from the referees, but in general, you win over the subconscious, the psyche of the referees, because you just flat out play harder than the other team. Russell Westbrook is playing harder than anybody in the other jersey. Anybody. Everybody on Oklahoma City comes in, they scrap harder, they fight harder, they dive for loose balls, they win 50-50 balls, and the refs are rewarding them or awarding them for their guts and drive. And I think that's going to change. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow night at Golden State. I think they'll win Game 5. And then let's flip the script. I'll tell you the truth. As much as I admired the maturity of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, they're going to feel more pressure back home than they have ever felt in their careers, because everybody will expect them then to do exactly what they did in Games 3 and 4. And you know and I know, sometimes the shots don't fall when you get a little jittery, and it can be a little different, okay?
Well, we saw that big time with your boy LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm talking about talk about jittery. I mean, my Lord, I mean with LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was wondering whether or not he was wearing a diaper or something. I mean, it was that bad. It was that bad. But I will tell you this. I would never say that about the Golden State Warriors. And there's a couple of things that I want to point out here. Again, they're first class all the way. It's impossible to root against them in most instances. That's number one. And Steph Curry is a superstar. He's just having a bad couple of games, and it just happens to be against Russell Westbrook. And when you have a bad game against Russell Westbrook, you tend to look doubly bad because of how Russell Westbrook comes at you, okay? Steve Kerr, allow me to say this, Skip Bayless. Look, Mark Jackson works on this network. I love Mark Jackson, okay? But look, damn it, I ain't blaming Steve Kerr for taking that job. I would have took the job had they offered it to me, and I don't coach. You understand? Ain't his fault. Okay, so all of this stuff about, you know, people sitting up there because they look at me and they know how much I love my man Mark Jackson, and they think, no, I'm getting on Steve Kerr because of no. Steve Kerr can coach. Steve Kerr knows the game of basketball. Steve Kerr deserves all the accolades he's received other than this year's Coach of the Year, because I don't think you deserve it for just coaching 39 games. But in this series, at this juncture, he is being outcoached by a rookie coach on the NBA level. He's being outcoached. I mean, it's just that simple. Look at the adjustments that Billy Donovan is making. Steve Kerr's a great guy, and I think he's been great for the game. And I think, listen, he's just getting outcoached right now. It's just that simple to me. Okay. Now, it's not as glaring as Steph Curry's deficiencies, But still in all, there is a discrepancy there that cannot be ignored. And I can't see them coming back. If they come back, they come back. I'll be happy about it.
Let's say I'm right. Let's say Golden State wins Game 5. Let's do the hypothetical, which is feeling like a 1,000,000,000 shot. Let's say Golden State then goes back to Oklahoma City, and mostly because Oklahoma City comes up short, for whatever reason, their shots don't fall, and Golden State steals Game 6 and gets to go home for Game 7. Would I bet on Golden State to beat this team 3 straight times in a Game 7 at Oracle? I'm not sure about that. I would give that more like a 50-50 proposition.
Well, let me say this to you, because you didn't bring this up, so I will. Let me look right in the camera and tell you this. If Kevin Durant, one of the top 3 players in the universe, and Russell Westbrook, a pair of one of the top, 2 of the top 5 players in the game, if they lose a 3-1 lead, they'll never live it down. The way they have looked these last 2 games, if they turn around and resemble Dr. J and Daryl Dawkins, Chocolate Thunder, and Caldwell Jones, if they sit up there and they look like those boys against Boston in the early 80s, and they surrender a 3-1 lead and lose this Western Conference Finals, after looking the way they've looked in games 3 and 4, they'll never live it down. They'll never, I'm telling you right now, they'll never live it down. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, you want to talk pressure? Fine. I don't think it's pressure yet, but they can't lose this series, not after being up 3-1 and looking the way they looked. They didn't win get up this one by luck. They've annihilated them.
Okay, but remember, just last playoffs, your man CP3 blew a 3-1 lead to the Houston Rockets.
Not the same. Not the same. Not to say, Skip. Look, CP3, I keep telling you, when you talk about basketball, he's a miniature point guard whose primary strength is being an orchestrator, a delegator, a captain. In terms of being the muscle who actually gets it done, that's the LeBrons. It was the Kobes. It was the D. Wades of the world, people like that. That's Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Russell Westbrook is legitimate 6'4". He's a big guard. He is the most athletic point guard in NBA history without question, okay? You cannot judge them by the same. Chris Paul is looking for a Blake Griffin or somebody to step up and deliver. Durant and Westbrook are called upon to deliver themselves. You cannot lose a 3-1 lead in this series and live it down. If they lose this series, and I don't believe they will at this point, if they lose this series, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook will never live this down. Trust me on that. Trust me on that.
Well, I don't know. They could bounce back next year. I think they'd probably be the favorites to win it all next year.
Well, I'm just saying, what I mean by that is that it will be attached to you for the rest of your career so long as you don't win the chip.
Okay.
Maybe on both
That's what I
ends.
mean by that.
All right, Stephen A., we don't have a show tomorrow, so I want to get it on the record. Skip says that Golden State wins Game 5. Who do you have winning Game 5?
Well, he said he needed to sleep on it.
Yeah, but we don't have a show tomorrow.
Oh,
You know what? I'll make my prediction. I got to think about it. I got to think about it.
All right.
I got to think about it.
Maybe later in the show.
It's hard to pick Golden State to lose on their home court. It really is.
Okay, if they fire Steve Kerr tonight, would you then pick?
I don't think Steve Kerr. Listen, man. I'm not going that way. Steve Kerr can coach. He's just getting out-coached by Billy Donovan, y'all.
Okay.
No, we'll let it go. We'll give you time. So coming
Billy,
up,
damn. It's the truth.
Yes, later in the show, we want you guys to weigh in here. Is Westbrook proving that he's better than Steph Curry? Let us know on Twitter. Head to the First Take Twitter page and vote yes or no. We will share those results a little later in the show. To the East, how will LeBron and the Cavs bounce back after losing 2 straight against the Raptors? We'll tell you after the break.